Terry Johnson failed a poly. What happened?
Well, I'd like to address the poly issue.
Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, as anybody knows, when you take a polygraph, you don't take it under certain conditions. Number one, Mr. Lang was a victim of a carjacking in which his daughter was abducted. He is then taken into custody. He is interrogated. And then he's asked to draw a picture, or I'm sorry, to describe the people that did this to him. Following that, they then strap him up for a polygraph after such a heinous act had been done on him. That is not the proper way to take a polygraph. He didn't fail a polygraph. It wasn't done
Tears
properly.
have been out in full force.
So when you talk about he failed a polygraph, no. It has to be administered in a proper manner.
Okay.
Anybody that... Go ahead.
Terry, what I don't understand, are you saying that the timing of the polygraph was what was wrong with the administration of the poly? Yes, no?
That's a part of it. That is absolutely
okay, because he passed all the other questions except about did he know where his daughter was. So he passed all the other questions. And would he be willing to take another poly now that a period of time has passed?
Well, here's the question. Where's this information coming from? Because here locally, that's not what's being reported. So again, we have
Really?
the media.
What about it, Alexis? What have you learned about the poly? Quickly, Alexis Weed.
Nancy, the Detroit News is reporting that he failed. The question, do you have anything to do with her discipline? Do you know where she is now?
Breaking news tonight, a 2-year-old little girl allegedly carjacked out of the Mercury four-door with her dad, a busy thoroughfare there in Michigan, broad daylight, 9:45 a.m. Daddy's going to check on student A for his tuition when two armed assailants take the car. Cops zero in, find the car less than a mile away. The car's in mint condition. The baby is gone. Tonight, joining us live, the father driving that car, Deondre Lane, and his lawyer, Terry Johnson. To John Hewitt, reporter WWJ, I noticed that Terry Johnson did not in any way want his client to describe the two assailants. Am I wrong, John Hewitt? Or when this first started, did Deondre Lane tell cops there was one assailant? Did I misread that?
I don't know, Nancy, if he told police that directly, but I do know that day I spoke with Detroit Police Chief Ralph Godby directly, and they put out a request for a suspect search in describing what Bianca was wearing in her description, but also that they were looking for a light-skinned black male, unshaven, about 6 feet tall, dark hat, dark jacket, or dark pants, dark jacket, etc. No mention at all of two suspects they were seeking, so that does seem to be a big inconsistency here.
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, Mr. Lane, Deondre Lane, you're Bianca's father. You were with her when the car was carjacked. How many assailants were there, one or two?
Like I told the investigators, there were two people in the car. One person got out the car and aimed the firearm at me. I could not describe to them what the person behind the wheel of the car looked like. I gave them all the information I can give them.
Well, Mr. Lane, let me tell you something. Very often when people are staring down the wrong end of a gun, that's all they can focus on. They can't necessarily focus on anything else. Viewers, think back at the time you were the scaredest, the most scared in your whole life, and what do you remember? The most upset you've ever been in your life. What do you remember about your surroundings? So, Mr. Lane, I get it. Now, you've given a composite of one of the suspects. Tell me, how did you get to the phone to call police?
You know, Nancy, again, we're here to work on getting Bianca back. You want to constantly...
Great, then just answer my questions.
As an attorney,
that'd be great.
Well, Nancy, you're an attorney. You understand he's cloaked, and that maybe as a DA you've forgotten that, but he's cloaked with the presumption of innocence.
No, actually,
and he has been cooperating
trying
with
to
the
find
police.
Bianca. And
then let's
you
talk
don't
about
want your
that,
client
and let's
to
not
talk about anything
what happened on the
other.
second.
Well, why? That's the whole reason we're here. We're here about what happened on the second and who took this baby.
Deondre Lane told police he was carjacked and the thieves who took off with his car took his daughter too.
There's a lot of things being mishandled in this investigation.
With guns drawn, the FBI, Michigan State Police entered the home of Deondre Lane.
Why go in with guns drawn?
My daughter does not need to be subject to someone else coming in and trying to make her father out to be a villain.
A black police SUV parked in the driveway. Police seen removing items from the home and placing them in the SUV.
When I talked to my daughter, all she said, "Daddy, I love you. Daddy, I love you." She sent pictures to my sister's phone of her blowing kisses. She doesn't even know what's going on. I'm the bad guy right now. 8 years. I've been working on getting my life together to try to put that behind me. 8 years. Trying to get in school, trying to get a job, trying to be a father to my children. 8 years. And you sit up there and tell me now that my daughter's going missing.
Welcome back. We are live and taking your calls. A 2-year-old little girl carjacked from their Mercury 4-door. Daddy at the wheel. A busy thoroughfare there in Michigan. Broad daylight, 9:45 a.m. We are taking your calls. Back to Mr. Lane. This is Bianca's father. There's a shot of little Bianca asleep. How have you been treated since this incident, Mr. Lane?
I mean, at first, I looked at everything. I was just trying to give him as much information as I could. And then all of a sudden I heard someone say, "Oh, he has a criminal record." Next thing you know, I'm thrown into a police car. I'm taken down. I'm interrogated. I'm made to ask questions. I'm telling these people I can't even think straight at the time. You know, I've never had anything like this happen to me. There's nothing like this has happened to my family, to Benika's family. I mean, this whole situation is a tragedy, and I feel like I'm being pushed around and being put in front of the media as the bad guy, and I'm not. I'm the father that's out here.
Okay, Mr. Lane, at any time tonight, did I bring up your criminal record?
I did not say you did, Nancy. I'm not saying you. I'm saying when I was out.
The answer is no. You're not under attack, Mr. Lane. I'm trying to cull facts from you that could help me and the viewers find your daughter, all right? And I understand that you believe you have been mistreated, but what I want to do is focus on the facts surrounding Bianca's disappearance. Do you understand? This is not about you. This is about her.
That's what I've been saying to everyone. It's not about me. It's about her. And that's why I'm trying to get the message out. Please bring my daughter home. That is my only concern. I don't care about anything else that's going on right now, but my daughter's safe return home to her family. That's it. That's the only concern that any of us have.
Mr. Lane, you say, your lawyer says that you have cooperated with police. What have you done to cooperate with police?
I've answered every question they've given me to the fullest extent that I could. I sat down with their sketch artists. I tried the composite. I gave them all the information I could. I mean, everything happened so fast. The situation. I mean, there's a gun pointed at me. My daughter's in the car. I've been just trying to give them everything that I could. I don't know what else they want from me, but I'm giving them everything that they asked for.
And Nancy, let me say this. When Mr. Lang was in custody, he was asked by the police, "Can we search your house?" Mr. Lane consented. He gave them written consent to go into his house.
Mr. Johnson, I really appreciate that, and I give him all the props for having his house searched.
Well, but it's more to it than that, Nancy.
Oh.
What, do you want to hear the story?
What parent in their right mind?
That.
Okay, can you give it to me in a nutshell? Tell me.
Sure, absolutely. Ever since then, they've taken things out. That's fine. He's given them permission. After that, they've never come back to him and asked for permission. They knew where he was. They've kicked in doors. When they knew no one was there, they've gone in with guns drawn. They've had that house under surveillance That was for media sensationalism.
Hold on, Terry Johnson. That's not altogether fair to the cops because, give me that rap sheet. I mean, since you guys brought it up, that was not my, no. If I were a cop going into Mr. Lane's house and I knew that he has a rap sheet for, starting all the way back in the 90s, for, let's see here, assault with intent to commit armed robbery, auto theft, felony firearm possession.
Are you forgetting that point?
No,
Are you forgetting that he's not there?
I'm not forgetting anything, sir. But what I'm telling you is, don't
are you
go
forgetting
crying
that no one
about
else
the
was
cops
there?
having a gun. Please don't make me cut you.
No,
mic, all right?
you're missing my point,
I let you finish,
Nancy.
and I'd like to do the same. No. For all the cops to know, somebody else could be there with a gun. No, you've already finished. You said they pull their weapons when they went in the house.
They had the house under surveillance, and nobody went in. So?
How do they know who's there or not there? You know what? All of this is neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. What matters is the time surrounding the carjack. That's all I care about. I mean, Nancy, I don't have a problem with your client, but what I'm saying is, okay, cut his mic. This is not about your client, sir. This is about his daughter and the fact that instead of put him up, instead of discussing her disappearance, you two are whining about how he was treated. No offense, but who cares? All that matters is her. Now, back to you, Mr. Lane. I want to hear what your message is tonight.
My message is to whoever has my daughter, bring her back safely to her parents and her family.
I know they were in a busy area, though, Nancy, as you've mentioned before, on the east side of the city.
Okay, you know, Mr. Lane, I don't understand how they came up and got into your car. I'm looking at the thoroughfare. You're not at a red light. You weren't stopped at a stop sign. How did they come up and make you relinquish your car?
We're going back to an area again. We've given our statement to the police. If you want to know what happened specifically on December 2nd, we should have Ralph Godby or someone from the Detroit Police Department.
Okay.
Here. My client has given
Pam Hayes, you've heard this. I want to hear your thoughts. Former prosecutor, current veteran defense attorney. Pam?
It sounds really bad. I don't think he should be on talking about this. It's not the proper way to go about things. They have a sketch of a generic black man that looks like Joe Campbell, and it's just no facts or details. And everybody's just upset.
And, you know, Pam Hayes, when you go on a national TV to help find your daughter, I mean, you'd think you'd describe the assailants or something about what happened that day. What about it, Kieran Stark?
Absolutely. You describe what happened. You really are not somebody who's there and keep talking about how you've been wronged, what you did wrong. And here's something that I don't understand, Nancy. There are these two people, they take the car, so supposedly they're carjackers, but then they wind up finding the car and the daughter is gone. So now are they child molesters? And if they're child molesters, are they working in tandem? I don't know stories where two people wind up taking a little girl. That makes no sense to me.
With us also, Mark Class. Mark, help me out. We're running out of time. Hours are passing. Critical hours in the search for Bianca.
Well, listen, here's the problem here. Kidnappers exist or depend upon anonymity. These are kidnappers, and apparently that was the goal of the crime since the car was recovered within just a mile. Apparently these kidnappers have no problem letting the world know what their faces look like. That should make it much, much easier to find this child. I think as far as the search goes, the police and the public are doing absolutely everything they can based upon some very, very sketchy information.
Everyone, the tip line in this case, 313-596-2260. We need your help finding baby Bianca. The reward is climbing nearly $30,000 if you can help find this child taken at gunpoint, according to Daddy. Daddy with us tonight, refusing along with his lawyer, to answer any questions about when his daughter was stolen. Come back. We are live in Michigan, and the search turned desperate for a 2-year-old little girl carjacked. Her daddy behind the wheel. Now she is missing. Daddy and lawyer with us tonight. To Woody Tripp, former police commander, polygraph expert. Okay, Woody, let's hear your take.
You know, Nancy, there's a saying, a lie doesn't care who tells it, a lie doesn't care who hears it. This whole thing with the polygraph, and it wasn't right, and, you know, it's with this test, it shows significant reaction to two of the most relevant, pertinent questions that you can have. Do you know where? And do you or did you have any involvement with this? And as you said, and I reiterate it, he didn't have a problem with the other questions, and there was more relevant questions than just those two. So, yes, there's a problem there, and I think after this, with what we've seen, I don't even know if a polygraph was necessary at this point.
To Dr. Michael Arnold, board-certified forensic pathologist, could forensics conclusively determine if Bianca was in the car that day?
No, with the child seat there, this child's been riding in the car before, and unless the child was picked up on video someplace through the city as the car was driving, there's no forensic evidence inside the car that will be able to answer that question. Hopefully they can see pictures of the kid in some of the videos that may have picked the car up as it drove throughout the city.
So, Dr. Arnold, it's much harder to find DNA-type evidence in a location where the victim would be normally.
Right. The presence of the child's DNA or any other specimens is not going to help. However, I am sure that the FBI has fingerprinted and swabbed the inside of that car extensively, looking for fingerprints and DNA on the steering wheel, on the child seat where they removed the child, and on the outside of the car.
Back to the lawyers, Eleanor Odom, Raymond Giudice, Pam Hayes. Eleanor, what about the scenario?
Well, the scenario overall seems just a little bit difficult to believe, and it's not unusual.